The atmosphere in the Kelly Clarkson show studio was, as always, buoyant with positive energy. The set was warm, the band played a jaunty tune, and the audience buzzed with anticipation for a Spice Girls reunion story. Mel C, Sporty Spice herself, sat cross-legged in the guest chair, looking chic and relaxed in a tailored blazer and trousers. She was there to promote her new memoir, a candid exploration of her life in and out of the world's biggest girl group. Kelly, beaming from her own chair, leaned in with genuine warmth. "I have to say, I'm such a fan. Wannabe was the anthem of my youth. Tell me about writing this book. It's so personal." Melanie smiled, her Northern English accent friendly. "Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, it is personal. I wanted to be honest, you know. About the highs, obviously, but also the pressures. The eating disorders, the depression, the feeling of being just one-fifth of a brand." "That's so brave," Kelly nodded, her empathy palpable. "And you write about the dynamic within the group. The competitions that were fostered." "Right," Mel said, her posture tightening just a fraction. "It wasn't always girl power behind the scenes. The management, the media, they'd constantly pit us against each other. Who's the thinnest? Who's getting the most attention? It was toxic. It fed directly into my own struggles." Kelly's expression was one of understanding. "I think a lot of people in this industry, women especially, can relate to that. It creates wounds that last." "Exactly," Mel C continued, feeling heard. "And the book is about healing those wounds. Finding my identity beyond Sporty Spice." Kelly glanced at her cards, her tone shifting subtly into a more playful, talk show host gear. "Speaking of identities and competition, there's a lot in here about your relationship with Jerry, Ginger Spice. You call her a diva in the book, and you mention a specific incident at the 2012 Olympics closing ceremony. You say she refused to share a dressing room with you and Emma. That must have stung, especially on such a huge, reuniting moment." Melanie's smile became fixed. "Well, it's all in the past now. We've worked through a lot." But Kelly, perhaps aiming for juicy yet lighthearted tea, pressed on with a chuckle. "Come on, though. She made you and Emma bunk up together. Like you were back in school. What was that about? Was it a 'I'm Ginger Spice, I need my space' thing?" The audience tittered, but the energy in Mel C changed. The relaxed author vanished, replaced by the guarded, weary veteran of 1,000 invasive interviews. "It's not really a funny anecdote, Kelly," she said, her voice cooler. "It was symptomatic of the underlying issues we had. It was hurtful." Kelly, missing the shift, kept the bubbly tone. "I get that, but it's just so, Spice Girls. The drama. You've all had your solo careers, your journeys. Is there still a rivalry there? Are you competitive with Jerry's success, or Victoria's fashion empire?" That was the trigger. Mel C's eyes, which had been warm and open, frosted over. She uncrossed her legs and sat forward. "This is exactly what I'm talking about in the book," she said, her voice low but clear, cutting through the studio's warmth like a knife. "You're doing it right now. You're taking a painful period of my life, a period of illness and professional manipulation, and you're trying to turn it into a catfight. Into gossip. Ooh, who doesn't like who? It's reductive. And it's the very thing that nearly destroyed me." The studio air turned to ice. The audience's chatter died instantly. Kelly's smile faltered, genuine surprise on her face. "Melanie, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "Yes, you did," Mel C interjected, not angrily, but with a devastating, tired finality. "You have the questions in front of you. You chose to steer from a conversation about recovery and mental health back to drama and rivalry because it's more entertaining for your show. You're using my pain as a segment." Kelly, famed for her kindness and her own struggles in the industry, looked stricken. "That is not my intention. I'm a fan. I admire your honesty." "Then respect it," Melanie said, standing up abruptly. The lavalier microphone clipped to her blazer swung wildly. "Don't commodify it. This," she gestured between them, "is not a conversation. It's a mining operation. And I'm done." She didn't yell. She didn't throw anything. With a quiet, immense dignity, she unclipped the microphone, placed it carefully on the seat of the chair, and turned. Ignoring the stunned band, the frozen crew, and the wide-eyed audience, Melanie Chisholm walked purposefully off the set, through the blinding stage lights, and into the darkness of the backstage area. A producer's voice, hushed and frantic, crackled in Kelly's earpiece. Go to break. Now. Now. Kelly Clarkson, a woman known for saving moments with her humor or her voice, was left speechless on live television. She blinked at the empty chair, then at the audience, her face a mask of shock and dawning horror. The screen cut to a vibrant ad for laundry detergent, the cheerful jingle a grotesque soundtrack to the bomb that had just detonated. Backstage was not chaos, but a profound, deafening silence punctuated by frantic whispers. Mel C moved with the steady, focused pace of a marathon runner hitting a wall but determined to finish the race. Her assistant, a young woman named Jess, fell into step beside her, wordlessly handing over Mel's phone and bag, her face pale. Mel, a senior producer, a woman in a headset, moved to intercept them at the heavy soundstage door. Please, let's just take 5. We can fix this. Kelly is devastated. Melanie stopped, turning to look at the producer. Her eyes were bright, not with tears, but with a fierce, clear light. There's nothing to fix. The interview is over. My car, please. The producer appealed to Jess. The contract, the promotional commitment for the book. The commitment was for an interview, not an ambush, Jess said, finding her voice, her loyalty overriding her professional anxiety. The car. Now. They pushed out into the cool, concrete-lined corridor of the studio building, the door swinging shut behind them, muting the world of the show. Only then did Mel C's shoulders slump, just a fraction. A tremor ran through her hands. It wasn't regret, it was the aftershock of drawing a line she should have drawn 25 years ago. Are you all right? Jess asked, her voice small. I will be, Melanie said, breathing deeply. I should have done that on TFI Friday in 1997. Her phone began to vibrate incessantly in her hand. A flurry of texts lit up the screen. Her manager, what happened? Her publicist, call me ASAP. All networks are picking it up. Then, one from Emma Bunton, Baby Spice, just saw. Bloody hell, Mel, you okay? Call me. XXX. And another, from Jerry Hallowell Horner, darling girl. You were magnificent. I'm so sorry my past diva behavior gave them ammunition. I love you. Call when you can. GX. That one almost brought the tears. The rivalry Kelly had tried to exploit was offering immediate, unwavering solidarity. Inside the studio, during the commercial break, a different kind of storm was brewing. Kelly Clarkson had retreated to the edge of the set, her head in her hands. I wasn't trying to, she mumbled to her own executive producer. We know, Kelly, the producer soothed, though panic was in his eyes. She misinterpreted the tone. We'll go back out, you'll apologize sincerely. We'll salvage it. Kelly looked up, her famous eyes brimming. Did I misinterpret my own tone? She's right. I had the chapter summaries. I saw the serious stuff. And I went for the fun gossip about Jerry. Because it's good TV. She looked ill. I became the thing I hated when I was on that other show. I became the producer pushing for drama. The floor manager signaled frantically. They were back from the break in 10 seconds. Kelly was led back to her chair. The audience, now a buzzing hive of tension, quieted. The empty guest seat yawned beside her. Kelly looked directly into camera one, her usual sparkle gone, replaced by a raw, shaky honesty. Okay. So, we're back. And as you can see, Melanie Chisholm has left the show. She took a deep, shuddering breath. I owe her, and all of you, a massive apology. I asked questions in a way that prioritized entertainment over empathy, and I deeply regret that. Melanie came here to speak about important issues, and I failed to hold space for that. It was a failure on my part as an interviewer and as a person who champions mental health. I am truly, truly sorry. It was a stunning, unscripted mea culpa. The audience offered a smattering of sympathetic applause, but the mood was fractured. The rest of the show, with a pre-taped segment, felt hollow, a ghost of its usual self. Online, the digital wildfire had already begun. The clip of Mel C's calm, devastating exit and Kelly's tearful apology was instant gold. Hashtags proliferated. Hashtag Mel C storms off. Hashtag I stand with Mel C. Hashtag be kind Kelly. The takes were polarized and immediate. Fandom accounts erupted. Yas Mel. Tell that talk show host. She's been through enough. Media commentators weighed in. a masterclass in how not to interview a survivor of the pop machine. Others criticized Mel C, she's promoting a book. What did she expect? Thin skin for a sporty spice. And the inevitable, Kelly's apology was class. Mel was rude, but cutting through the noise, a more substantive conversation was sparking. Writers, particularly women who had been in the industry for decades, began sharing stories. Stories of being asked about their weight instead of their work, about ex-bandmates instead of their art, about rivalries instead of their resilience. The phrase, mining operation, which Mel C had used, became a rallying cry. In her quiet hotel suite, Mel C watched Kelly's apology on her laptop, sipping a cup of tea. She felt a pang for Kelly, she knew the pressure, the machine. But she felt no regret. The line was drawn. Her phone rang. It was her manager. Right, he said, his voice a mix of anxiety and adrenaline. Damage control. Or, actually, screw damage control. The book is now trending at #1 on every pre-order list. Your phone is ringing off the hook with interview requests, serious ones, from people who actually want to talk about the themes. What do you want to do? Melanie looked at the city lights outside her window. For the first time in a long time, she felt in control of her own narrative. I want to talk to Brené Brown, she said simply. Or someone like that. Or maybe I just do a live stream from here, on my terms. No middleman. No mining. That's unconventional. Risky. So was walking out, she said, a small, tired smile finally touching her lips. And it's the most honest thing I've done all day. The fallout was a cultural Rorschach test. For days, the entertainment news cycle was dominated by the split-screen images. Mel C's dignified, steely exit and Kelly Clarkson's raw, televised remorse. Pundits debated on cable news about cancel culture, accountability, and the ethics of daytime TV. But beyond the hot takes, a genuine shift seemed to be occurring. A prominent literary podcast, known for deep dive author interviews, released a statement saying they had secured an interview with Mel C and would be donating a portion of their ad revenue for that episode to a mental health charity focused on eating disorders. The BBC's Woman's Hour offered her a slot for a long-form conversation. The narrative was slowly being wrestled from the realm of gossip and into the realm of substance. Kelly Clarkson, meanwhile, took an unprecedented step. She preempted her next show with another direct address to her audience. After what happened earlier this week, she said, seated alone on her set, we're pausing our usual schedule. For the rest of this week, we're dedicating the show to conversations about mental health, media responsibility, and the pressures on women in the public eye. She announced guests including therapists, media scholars, and artists who had written about their struggles. It was a stunning act of contrition and a savvy recalibration of her brand. The message was clear. She had been schooled, and she was doing the homework. Melanie watched this from her home in London, her promotional tour now conducted entirely on her own terms, carefully curated Zoom interviews with respectful journalists, and a powerful, intimate Instagram live session where she read passages from her book and answered questions submitted in advance. The mining operation was shut down. A week after the incident, an unexpected envelope arrived at Mel's management office. It was handwritten, on heavy cream stationery. Jess brought it to her. Dear Melanie, I've resisted the urge to call or text, as I imagine your inbox is a battlefield. I just wanted to say, in writing and without an audience, that I am so profoundly sorry. You were right. I got caught in the mechanics of my own show and betrayed my own instincts for what is kind and true. I have long admired your strength, and to have been the person who made you have to summon it in that way is a regret I will carry. I've been doing a lot of thinking about the systems we're both part of. I hope, in time, you might consider coming back to my show, to have the conversation we should have had. But only if and when you ever felt it was right. No pressure. No expectations. With sincere admiration and apologies. Kelly. Mel read it 3 times. The anger she had carried had dissipated, leaving behind a weary understanding. She didn't plan to return to the Kelly Clarkson show. Some lines, once drawn, needed to remain. But she respected the grace of the letter. The final chapter of the public saga played out at the London launch party for her memoir. It was a packed, elegant affair. As Mel gave a short speech, thanking her team, her family, and her fans for their unwavering support, a familiar, vivacious flash of red hair appeared at the back of the room. Jerry Hallowell Horner, beaming, gave her a subtle thumbs up. Later, as photographers swarmed, they didn't ask about past feuds. They asked about the book, about the future, about the powerful statement she'd made. The story of Mel C storming off the show became less about a clash and more about a catalyst. It sparked industry-wide conversations about interview practices. Several talk shows quietly revised their pre-interview guidelines, emphasizing trauma-informed questioning for guests discussing personal hardship. Melanie Chisholm, Sporty Spice, had spent decades being asked to compete, to compare, to confess to catfights for public consumption. In one quiet, decisive moment, she had refused. She hadn't just walked off a set, she had walked out of the old narrative and into a new one, of her own authorship. The world, it seemed, was finally ready to listen to the woman, not just the spice. And as she signed copies of her book, chatting and laughing with fans, she felt a sense of peace she hadn't known since before she first uttered the words, zig ah. The storm was over, and the air, for the first time in a long time, was clear.